SteamOS has been out for a couple of weeks now, and some people have done some preliminary testing. Most notably, Dave2D. The Steam NextFest is coming soon, and we might have just gotten the funniest game trailer of all time. But there's also some bad and troubling news too, especially in regards to the Persona 4 voice acting controversy. All of this, and then some. So, let's talk about it, shall we? But if you like this video or any other video I've made, please like, subscribe, and share with all of your friends. And in the meantime, why don't you check out Off the Console? It's a brand new podcast created by me, Gardner Bryant, and Games Revealed, with guest stars occasionally. And while yes, it's on YouTube, it's also available wherever podcasts can be found, like Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Check it out. SteamOS is still not quote-unquote officially out, but in theory, it should work with just about any AMD-powered device, meaning an AMD CPU and an AMD GPU. But it only really has official support for the Legion Go S. But they also mentioned working on support for the ROG Ally, and plenty of people have installed it on their allies as well. So yes, you can install SteamOS on whatever hardware, but operating system is just software, right? I mean, the hardware's what matters, right? The OS couldn't possibly make a huge difference, right? Wrong answer. See, with SteamOS in game mode, very little needs to run in the background when you're playing video games. Whereas on Windows, when you're playing a video game in full screen, the whole Windows operating system is still running behind there. Whereas SteamOS keeps things extremely bare bones when you're in game mode. Now, when you go into desktop mode though, things are a little different because you're in a whole desktop environment. And what does this really amount to? Supposedly higher frame rates and much higher battery life. Dave2D demonstrates right here. Honestly, I should do a test myself. But if these results are to be believed, then if you're someone that values playtime, then maybe you should consider getting SteamOS on the Legion Go S. No one's really done any tests to see if the ROG Ally benefits the same way. At least not that I know of. But, I mean, I have an ROG Ally X with Bazite, so I guess we'll figure out at some point, right? But aside from that though, SteamOS in its game mode has the benefit of being super controller friendly. It very much is just a consoleized interface, and it's arguably the best way one can do it on a general purpose PC. It's not to say that Windows doesn't have any of this, but the truth is if you were to run one of these on Windows, you still have to contend with the fact that Windows is running in the background, and that by itself can cause issues because, well, it's Windows. With SteamOS in game mode at least, there is no desktop layer to contend with. The interface is exactly what it is. But if you do want to go into desktop mode, you can certainly do so. And no, running big picture mode on desktop mode on SteamOS or running big picture mode in Windows is not the same as game mode. The interface is still the same, yes, and it controls the same, yes, but now you have an entire desktop to deal with, which really defeats the purpose. If you want to play games on these, you should play in game mode. More preliminary testing needs to be done, especially on my end, because honestly, I should probably record a video on how to install SteamOS, even though everyone's already done so already. And on the topic of Steam, we have the Steam NextFest coming in 2 weeks. It's not next week, but it's the week after. As you know, I always dedicate my Steam NextFest week to playing demos. The NextFest is truly a godsend. I've discovered many games I really like because of it. That said, I do have my concerns with NextFest becoming too popular, with too many games drowning out potential gems. And I understand that's a problem, I just hope that, well, games are just better. And developers, yes, I know, sometimes you post a lot on Twitter about your games, but I'm going to tell you right now, a proper demo will be people's first impressions of your game. So it would be in your best interest to put out a demo that's really good, that makes people want to play more of the full game, right? And I would argue that the Steam NextFest is very vital to some developers' success. Like, I'm not saying Balatro was successful entirely because it was part of the NextFest, but what I am saying is that Balatro saw a lot of success during the NextFest, and then I'm sure some of that translated over to the full game itself, so food for thought, right? Is it possible to be too successful, too accomplished? Well, if the Persona 4 voice acting drama is anything to go by, yes, I would say so. Yuri Lowenthal, a very successful voice actor, lots of roles in anime, in games. If you've played the recent Spider-Man games, you'll know that he's the voice of Spider-Man himself. but if you're a Persona fan, you probably knew him as Yosuke. News broke out that he tweeted about Persona 4 Remake, which is huge news because at this point we hadn't heard about a Persona 4 Remake, but more importantly, that he wouldn't be returning to the role. He, quote, begged to return to the role, but for whatever reason, he was turned down. The tweet's since been deleted, but a voice actress came up and explained that she wouldn't be returning to the role of Chie, that being Erin Fitzgerald. This brings up a bigger discussion on the role of voice actors in the West. Let's compare to the original Japanese cast. For remakes and legacy projects, they tend to bring on the original voice actors for roles, unless of course they're retired or they died or there's some health issues. Things like that can happen, but they tend to bring voice actors in Japan back to reprise their roles. But let's bring it back to Persona for a second. Persona 3 Reload has a different voice acting cast from the PS2 original, but in Japan, just about every main character reprised their original role. Voice acting is a huge deal in Japan. That's why when you see Japanese trailers featuring characters, you always see under the characters' names who's voicing them. They always make it a point to point this out. It's the same sort of decorum live action actors get when they're playing a role. I've seen some discourse in both directions. Some people are naturally upset because they do like the voice acting in Persona 4 Golden. It's still considered one of the best JRPGs out there. But others claim that Atlus wants to give new voice actors a chance to play their characters. I mean, they also did this for Persona 3 as well, did they not? But I don't necessarily agree with this notion. I think the real reason why the cast is being recast is because the cast has gotten a lot more accomplished, and they're a lot more expensive. Like, do you know Troy Baker was in Persona 4 Golden? He's expensive these days. Yuri Lowenthal is also pretty expensive too. It would be a lot cheaper if they just hired some unknown voice actors. Yes, it's a very single way of putting it, but it's also the only real reason that makes sense. And of course, Elden Ring Nightreign released. But here's the thing though, this brand new trailer is about as 2000s as it can be, featuring, most importantly, Evanescence's Bring Me to Life. Yes, that song. I know you've heard that song before, don't even lie to me. Aside from that though, it seems like Elden Ring Nightreign is getting mixed reviews on Steam. Why is this so? Well, it's simple really. They've made some pretty whack decisions by having no text chat or chat at all. And no duos either. If you like this video, please press the like button and check out our other videos, and if you like those other videos as well, be sure to press the subscribe button and share the good gospel of high-tech lowlife with your friends. Furthermore, we have a community Discord for enlightened individuals such as you. And if you wish to further support high-tech lowlife, be sure to check out our Patreon page. Links in the description.